Show. Peter G. Show. Divorced dad, single dad. Divorced dad, single dad. Peter G. Show.
That's right. Sunday night. Let the games begin. Sunday. Starting out Sunday. Boy, oh boy. And do I have some things I want to let out verbally? Let's take a minute to let everybody kind of get in there, get settled in. Just a reminder, I hope you're subscribing to YouTube. Much easier to catch the show, folks. Hang on, I'm gonna do that too. I want to share. I want to spread the love. Hope everybody's doing well. A lot of stuff going on. I wanted to take this week for myself because there's a lot of stuff going on that I feel we need to talk about. And I'm going to let you talk about it too, should you decide to tune in and stay with me, which I hope you will. But I'm also going to remind everybody that the best way to comment live, and you might have questions or something that you want to ask, and you can comment live if you're on YouTube. That's right, love you too. But the best way to do it is if you subscribe to YouTube. It's free. It notifies you when the show starts, and you can comment. You can comment live on that as well. What is going on there? That's strange. There we go. Also, you can go to the official Peter G. Show page and you can comment live from there. But if you're on the other couple of pages, which I'm going to eventually wean you guys off of if you choose to stay with me, the Peter Gisellas page and the Peter G. Gisellas page, that was, designed on Facebook, not really for the show, but is a very big part of the show. I know a lot of people kind of tune in from there because it notifies you and tells you that I'm there, and I get that. I really do, but I really would like you to go to the official pages because things are changing, and I'll tell you all that stuff too, but things are changing, and we're moving around, and I want you to grow with me. Can you believe it's August 1st? It's August already. That's a mind blower. At least it is for me. Where has the time gone? It used to be where, it took forever for Christmas to roll around. And now it's like, holy crap, it's Christmas already. It'll be here before you know it. I was just talking about it yesterday, I believe, and it's not going to be very long from now where people will be going, God, I hate the time change. We'll bitch about that down the road, but I'm just prepping you. Hey, Pete. Hey, Paul. Paul's in the house, overseeing the whole process. Glad you could make it, Paul, amongst the many others. But Paul has a unique connection to the show. Last week we talked to Bob Paff, Baltimore's own Mr. Bob Paff. Ooh. Got to get that tongue trimmed. It's going to be a funky night tonight. In a good way. Anyway, every last Sunday of the month, East meets West, Mr. Bob Paff joined us for the last Sunday of July. We had a great conversation. I mean, to me, it's getting better and better. I don't know why, but it just seems like there's a lot of good stuff flowing between him and I, and we talk about things that are worth talking about. I try to do that every week. Sometimes, even when I'm having fun, I want to have good fun. I go back, which takes me back to life is short. Don't waste it. But anyway, last week, Mr. Bob Half, Baltimore's own Mr. Bob Half, joined me. And the last Sunday of the month, he'll be back on in the last Sunday of August again. But it was a great show. If you missed it, go catch it. You can watch all this stuff on demand. If you missed the live shows, I got a lot of people. They go, Peter, I love you, but it's too late. I got to go to work in the morning. I got to get up. You're on late on Sunday nights. Yes, I'm the late Sunday night show. But don't forget, I'm voted best Sunday night show. Period. You're really, really clear tonight. Thank you. Good, Paul, because I thought I was going to have some issues right before we started again. Just, I think we have a little camera failure, or it's getting finicky. It's not, I got to keep this as best as possible because there's not a whole lot to work with here. Distance is my best, take your glasses off. Anyway, all right. So last week was Bob Half. Next week is going to be kind of interesting. Every once in a while I do something a little bit music orientated. Next week, this is going to be it's music oriented, but business. I'm going to have Mr. Phil Brown. Phil Brown is a musician, guitarist, songwriter, singer, really talented guy. I had the pleasure of working with him briefly many years ago, and we remained friends because it's not that we didn't want to work together. It's just life took us in different paths. But Phil has written many songs with many major artists, from Kiss to Pat Benatar, Cher, Kim Carnes. A lot of songs that were hits. They were hits through the years. He's written, and I'll let him go into deeper detail, but the thing is about him, it's like the music business is a tough business. It's a weird business, and speaking from personal experience, it's not hard to get screwed over. If it can happen. It happens a lot, more than what you hear. You see all these lawsuits between Prince when he was making a record. I mean, the record companies jerking him around, and Boston was under litigation for years. They didn't do a record for years. All these old classic bands, because that was when things were thriving. But anyway, he's written many hit songs with many artists. And he didn't get paid for a lot of them, ever. And he's kind of mad about it, and finally getting off his butt and, going to work at it to try to get what's rightfully his. And we're going to talk to him about it. And again, talented guy. Even his solo records were great. But next week, Phil Brown, musician, singer, songwriter, guitarist. And we're going to talk about the business end of him writing a bunch of songs for a lot of big people and never seeing a dime from it. Should be pretty interesting. That's next week. I'm going to be talking about some good stuff in just a few minutes here. At least I think it's going to be good stuff. I'm going to give you guys multiple choice, too, about it. Just a reminder real quick. If anybody's got something worthy of talking about and you want to be on this show, I'll hear you out. If it's worth it, just contact me. Us, them, him, her, she. Trying to be politically correct. Not. Go to info@petergshow.com. info@petergshow.com. Tell me what you have on your mind, what you feel is worth talking about, and we'll talk about it possibly. Probably put you on the show if you want, or if you just want me to talk about it. But I think there's a lot of people out there that have something that could be worthy of for other people, and to hear stories, their life. Your story could be the story that changes somebody else's life, believe it or not, and it's a fact. I'm living proof of it by hearing other people's stories that went through things before me in life in general. But anyway, if you feel you have something worthy of, please don't be shy, okay? Believe me, you could be doing good work. You never know who might be needing to hear your story because they're having the same issue and don't know how to handle it. So please, okay? All right, here's what we're going to do. Before we get started, and I'm going to give you the multiple choice questions in a second. Hey, Michelle's finally back. I don't know where you've been, but you're still in the club. We missed you. That's right. All right, listen. Here's the deal. I'm going to give you a multiple choice of where I'm going to start griping about some current events. And then I'm going to open up the phone lines all night. And if you have something to talk about that topic of the multiple choice topics I'm going to give you, you will be able to call in, hopefully, and everything will work like usual. Never know nowadays. And then we'll talk about it. But first, remember, folks, I could not be here if it wasn't for Bolt Energy. Bolt Energy, electrify your senses. Pepsi and I are going to tell you about Bolt Energy real quick, and then we'll be right back, and then we're going to start with the deep stuff, okay? Stuff you need to talk about. At least I feel we do. And I'll let you decide. So I'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Peter G from The Peter G Show and my friend Pepsi right here. Hey, we're here to tell you today about my beloved Bolt Energy.
Bolt Energy.
Bolt Energy. Electrify your senses. Did you know that, Pepsi?
I did not know that.
Yeah, electrify your senses. Bolt Energy has no preservatives.
No preservatives?
No, and it's enriched with antioxidants and vitamins.
Antioxidants.
It's a cleaner energy drink.
Cleaner.
That's right.
Nice.
And, you know, a couple little tidbits you might not know because
Yes.
I don't talk about it very often, but the Apollo mission, man on the moon.
Man on the moon. To the moon, Alice.
Bolt Energy.
Moon.
That's right.
Electrify.
That's right. If you would have looked in their storage bins, what do you think you would have found?
Bolt Energy.
Bolt Energy. Ask for it in stores, Bolt Energy, and tell them the Peter G Show sent you. How's that?
Hey, Peter G.
All right. Peace out. Love you guys.
Peace.
That's right. Bolt Energy, folks. I love Bolt Energy because those guys are workout fanatics. They designed something that nobody else has. Not easy being an energy drink. Go walk into the stores, you see a million of them, you know. And but I have a lot of respect for them. They're workout fanatics, and you know they believed in what they do, and you know, and as I said 20 million times, they know what I do and still sponsor me. So go out and look for Bolt Energy. If you can't find Bolt Energy, go to Bolt Energy LLC, and on Instagram, Bolt Energy LLC, Facebook, Bolt Energy LLC, YouTube. You can find them. Just Google it. It's real simple. Anyway, let's get to the meat and potatoes of tonight's show. Give me a second here. I know I'm missing something. First up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the phone lines, okay? But give me a little time to explain these things. Well, I have about 4 or 5 subjects I want to talk about tonight. Now, I could have way more, and I didn't put that on a... hang on one second. Let me take that off there. Bear with me. I want to scroll. There we go. I knew I was missing something. Okay. I could have come up with this could be an 8-hour show because through the month, through the week, lots of things happen in life, the news, life. And boy, are we having a lot of life going on these past couple of years here. And so I picked a few topics I think are very, very important. And I'm going to read them off to you. And then I'm going to start bitching about them or talking about them. But at the same time, I'm going to open up the phone lines, 818-259-7983. And if you have something you want to comment to and or disagree or agree or add to it or a question, I want you to call. 818-259-7983. That number on the bottom of your screen. Okay? It'll be real simple. What happened, Pepsi? What happened to Pepsi's eyes a little red? Yeah. Boy, do I have a story for you. One day I'm going to have a long talk with that boy. All right, so here's the deal. I picked 4 or 5 topics. One of them could carry the whole night plus, especially right now. But I'm going to tell you about these topics, okay? Cuba. I'm going to start with A lot of people don't know what's going on in Cuba because the news really isn't talking a lot about it. There's a lot of things going on in Cuba. They're trying to get their freedom. They're living in a communist country, and a lot of people are paying for it with their lives. We can talk about that. If you don't, I will. But that's one of them. China. I want to tell you a few things about China. If you're curious about it, you want to tell me a few things about China, you're more than welcome to. But I think it's important. There's a couple of points. I might not spend a whole lot of time on it, but just a little need-to-know facts. Like what they have versus what we have. This is a big one dear to my heart here where, again, the news isn't covering it. They've forgotten all about it, or at least the main media as some people are covering it. But it's really going to affect you, the people. We, the people. The border crisis. Out of sight, out of mind. But let me tell you, there's more going on, and you're gonna mind it. The border crisis. Next. Shocking. COVID. People, the new variant. Delta. COVID in general. Next. You're going to love this one. Hang on. The COVID vaccine or vaccines. Pro or con? I got a lot to talk about that. Again, all of this stuff is just my opinion based on the research that I've done. I spend time doing this stuff. A lot of people just watch TV and believe everything they see. I know it's hard to imagine, like, why wouldn't you? It's on TV. Why would the TV not be true? I find it really hard to believe as well, because I could have never imagined that, we'd be taken down the wrong road. But we are. Depends who you watch, who you listen to, who you believe. And most people just kind of go, well, if they said it, it must be true. Just like the internet, right? It's on the internet. It must be true, right? Kind of like me. Must be true. I'm not telling you have to believe what I say. And I am telling you, if you have an opinion or you want to add to it or you got a question, you can call 818-259-7983 and I'll hopefully see the phone and answer it, and we'll talk about things. But what should we start with first? What tickles your fancy? I mean, where do you want what can of worms do you want me to open up first? The COVID vaccine? COVID? They're probably one and the same. I got more pieces of paper on that than anything else. The border? That really bugs the hell out of me because it's going to really affect you and I and everyone else. China? Anything you got to think about China? Cuba? Does anybody even really know what's going on in Cuba? I think that the majority of people in the United States don't have a clue, unless you're living down near Miami and people that have relatives and things like that. I have found in life, most people don't get concerned about anything unless it affects them. It's just natural. They don't mean it. It's just the way it is. Don't forget, free Britney. Hey, free Britney. I don't know. It's kind of like Tourette's. I just had to say that. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to start with the border. Because it's not getting, the thing about the vaccine and all that, it's getting too much press. Too much press that's, and again, you either believe it and it's dead, we're divided, it's ruining us. Because people are going, all the information on TV is all lies. And a lot of people are like, how dare you? It's the truth. Don't be an idiot. So we're going to talk about the border first until you guys get warmed up. Again, if you have any questions and you want to chime in on this, 818-259-7983. Don't be a party pooper. But I'll start this. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the border is open. Like, people are just walking across onto land, and Nobody can stop them. The coyotes, the cartels, everybody crossing that border illegally is having to pay them. They're making millions and millions of dollars a week, a day, because you got to figure and it's not just Hispanic people, okay? It's not just people coming from Mexico, Guatemala. All right, Michelle, you're going to have to wait now. I went on to the border. They're counting just in the month of June. And this is what they can count. Never mind what they can't, because it's out of control. Remember, that wall that everybody hated, it never got finished. There's miles and 20 miles of it here and 10 miles of it there that's not finished, and they're just walking on through. Even through the gated parts, they're allowed to come through. The poor Border Patrol guys, they don't have a choice. They're under instructions just to let them in. Last month alone in June, over 188,000 illegal immigrants came through the border from wherever, crossing a river, crossing land, Texas, Arizona, wherever they can cross. It's killing those areas. People are just coming in. I'm kind of glad that I did start with the border, because it's going to lead into COVID as well. And we're going to talk about COVID because everybody's talking about COVID, and I got to put my piece in there. And again, whether you agree or disagree is up to you. I don't want you to get angry. We're just discussing, but we can agree to disagree. And if you do disagree, I invite you to call in and tell me why you disagree. Most of the time, nobody does, though. But you're welcome to. I'm open for it. I want to know. Maybe I don't know something. Maybe I'm missing something. People are coming across that border from all over the world. This is how it goes. Word got around. Fly to Mexico. Get into Mexico, even if you have a passport. And then you can just walk on over to the United States and come in forever. And that's what's happening. And if you do see the news, if you happen to see real news, you'll see that it's not just Hispanic people coming over the border. They're Black, Asian, from Nigeria, Haiti, India, Egypt, anywhere in the world. 160 countries. Just go to Mexico. Go to Mexico, you have a valid passport. They'll let you go to Mexico. Let's go to Mexico and then jump the border. And they're going to let you in. And not only are they going to let you in, they're going to take you and they're going to feed you. They're going to take care of you, get you off to a good start, which I'll get into. It's the easiest way to get into the country now. Nobody's coming in legally. But meanwhile, that brings to a good point. Meanwhile, the legal people have to abide by all kinds of rules. And down at the border, there's no rules. They're estimating that there's going to be about 2 million people that are going to cross over this border this year. 2 million people. That's going to be the largest in history. And I'm telling you guys this because, again, if you don't think it's going to, you might be in Minnesota and going, well, who cares? They're way down there. Surprise. I'm going to tell you about that in a second, too. They're not going to be way down there. They're taking these people over the, in the cover of darkness on buses. They hold them for detention. I mean, they kind of gather them up. The ones that aren't just fleeing and making it. These are only the ones that they're able to gather up, that are like willfully surrendering to the Border Patrol, and the Border Patrol has to take them to a facility and all that kind of stuff. Try to process them or try to get some information. They can't keep up. They can't keep up at all. Find out where they're coming from, who they're supposed to be here to see, to family, if any, children. which again, these coyotes, the cartels, the sex trafficking, child trafficking, drugs just coming through the border. Fentanyl. If you watched the show last week with Bob Paff, fentanyl. We talked about that. It's the cheapest, easiest way to come through. And they're making that stuff and putting it into drugs and not doing it properly just to make these cheap kind of pills and this and that. And people are dying more than ever. It's just a free walk through. It couldn't be any easier now. The United States of America, folks. We live in the United States of America, and look what the hell's going on, if you're paying attention. And again, if you think that your world is not going to be affected, I got news for you. They're taking these people. They can't stay all down bottom. You know, there's no way. The cities and these towns, they're overwhelmed. The mayors, and they're having a fit because there's already crime. You think these are all nice people coming over? Trash. They have no money. They have nothing. So we're taking them. Good old United States. And then they're rounding them up. And through the cover of darkness, they're loading them up on buses. And they're taking them to your city. They're dropping them off in the middle of your city, giving them a few bucks, getting them a hotel room, and giving them off to a good, fresh start. Welcome to the America. United States of America. And if you don't think that's happening, open your eyes. Because it's going to be more and more. They're taking them and they're shipping them thousands of miles. 1,000 miles, 1,500 miles. Florida towns, Georgias, Midwest, Atlantas, San Diegos, Fresnos. And if you don't think the Montanas and all that, they're going to get their fair share too. It's going to kill a lot of things. And don't blame these people crossing. They're just doing it because it's you know, the door is wide open. Come on in. Can't blame them. Who do you blame? I don't want to spell it out for you. Because I know there's people that are going to blame it on one of the two teams from the past or the present. But I'm going to put my money on the present. There's nothing being done about it. The governor of Texas, he's suing the federal government because it's his state getting crapped on. Can't blame him. It's a mess. So the ones they round up, again, 818-259-7983 people. Anybody want to add to this? If you have something worth adding, just call me. I'm sure that it'd be very inviting to hear a fresh voice, but I'll just keep on going. I've been waiting a while for this. So they gather them up, right? And then a lot of them, they go, okay, listen, we need you to appear in court on this date because that's where they're going to tell you what to do and how to do it and this and that, right? So after they release them on their own recognizance, right? They have them in these facilities and they go, okay, we're going to let you go, but we're going to need you to come back to court. And this is where the joke is. And they're going, sure, no problem. I'm going to go back to court. Don't speak no English hardly, or even if I do, I'm already in. What the hell do I need to go to court for? For these ICE hearings. So I'm going to give you just a small number. Shout out live in the Philippines. God bless you. Spread the word. Hope everything's going all right over there for you. I'm going to give you a small example. Let's say they released 50,000 people from all walks of life that crossed over the border, however they got through, from the cartels and this and that, whether they were made it nice and safely or they were raped and robbed, whatever. And believe me, this stuff is going on. These cartels have no heart whatsoever. It's all about money. Let's say they release 50,000 of them. They're just glad to be in the States. Now, again, folks, blame the people crossing. They think they're coming to a better life, and believe me, they probably are. But at our expense, it's just not right. Because it's not fair to the people who had to fight and do it the legal way to come in, and now everybody doing things legal are paying the price, and we're going to get to that. So they released 50,000 of them. Guess how many show up, percentage-wise, out of 50,000 actually show up to the court hearing to do the right thing? About 13%. About 13% out of 100% actually go and do the process. The rest of them, it's like, I'm in now. Who gives a shit? It's going to get me into this now. All these people crossing, the 180,000 that came over the border in June. Oh, there's only about a 900% rise in COVID on the people crossing over. 900%, not 90%, not 110%. 90. 900. But here's the kicker. While we are getting pressured, and I'm gonna get into it. I'm trying to not, but I'm gonna. While us, the world, the United States, the people who are doing things the normal way, are getting pressured into getting vaccines, which is a whole nother argument I'm going to get into. Not argument, but a discussion. I don't argue. While all these people are crossing over, a lot of them are getting sick. Now, I'm going to say this ahead of time because I'm going to say it a lot of times. The word COVID makes it sound like you have cancer. COVID is another word for you have a cold. You have another kind of cold virus, cold flu. But now, since it's gotten so ridiculously blown out of proportion, because yes, it was a little bit out of control, but at the end of the day, it's a cold virus, just like when you get a cold, which, as I said last week, the CDC can't tell the difference from the flu and COVID now with their tests. They finally admitted it. So everybody's, think about it. When's the last time you heard of anybody saying, I got a cold right now? It's not. I should have just paused for a second. I don't know anybody who's gotten a cold lately. And think about it. A couple of years ago, people get summer colds, change in weather, walking in and out of air conditioning, winter colds, goes from hot to cold. It's cold outside. The flu. That was everyday stuff. And now nobody. Think about it. When's the last time you heard somebody say they got a cold? It's COVID. Every friggin' thing is COVID. It just drives me nuts. Because this is how we're going into this deep, dark tunnel. But anyway, so all these people are crossing over. God, I'm never going to have enough time for this stuff. 818-259-7983. If somebody wants to call and say, hey. Not hey. I don't want you to call and say, hey. I want you to call if you got something to add to this. Anyway. Everything is going to hell, people. I'm not saying people don't die from COVID, because they do. If you have issues and you get a cold or the flu, a lot of people die from that too. Again, I want to stick on I'm going to leave the border issue, but in a second, and we're going to move into COVID, but people die from the flu and the cold, common cold, every year, except it's so normal that the news doesn't talk about that stuff. They never talked about it in the years gone past. And that's why it doesn't seem possible. I never knew it. I never knew it. I don't, but people die from the flu. If you have underlying issues and there's things that are going on in your life, and you're not the healthiest person, you can die from the flu. And it happens. I'll give you an example. I'm getting lost here. I got so much crap all over the place. It just irks me because everybody just jumps to hear something on the news, and I don't blame you. Again, I don't kind of blame you, but for God's sakes, do a little homework before you believe everything. Now's not the time to be believing everything you see or hear, including me. If you don't want to believe it, fine, but go fact check it. I mean, go search these things. You know how many people die every year from the flu? Text me how many people you think die a year in the United States from the flu. 200 people? 2,000 people a year? 2 million people a year? How many people do you think that die from the flu? Just from the flu, the cold. Because this is really where the reality sets in if you allow to open up your brain and take in some common sense. I get it, Michael. You haven't watched the news, and I don't, because you don't know what news to believe. But I still poke around. I have to, for your benefit, hopefully. But then again, I don't tell you to believe what I say. Take what I say and go find out if I'm talking, out my ass or for real. All right, the common cold, the flu, prior to COVID, annually, about every year in the United States, about 24,000 people a year die from the flu. A cold, the flu. 24,000 people a year. Did you hear me? 100,000. Now, I'm not even going to escalate it that much. I just saw and looked up, and this is on average. This was 24,000 people on average die from the flu, from what I know. And nobody wore a mask. Nobody had to wear a mask. Nobody had to go through all this crap. It's a cold. It's a cold virus. So is COVID. Except we don't call it that. It's a different variation of a cold virus. That could kill you. But so can the common flu. 36,000. I think I'm making my point. I'm trying to be conservative. Now, granted, this is a new virus. We're having to build up immunity. But I just kind of feel funny that they're putting so much pressure to get these vaccines. I've never seen in my lifetime so much pressure to get these vaccines. The president's even offering $100 incentive to go get the vaccines. I've seen medicinal marijuana, the medicinal stores offering a free joint if you get the vaccine, a free hamburger from a hamburger joint if you get the vaccine. Why so much pressure? Is it because they want everybody to be healthy? I saw a thing on George Carlin. It's like, if it was so good, and they're trying to save so many lives, why, just like people that need insulin, why isn't insulin free? Again, Michelle, what about TB? I know 1.4 million people die from tuberculosis. People die from all kinds of things. That's my point. But there's so much pressure on this whole COVID thing now. Yes, it was a little bit unknown and out of control. Why? That's deep, dark secrets too. But the bottom line is, now everybody's been around now for a year and a half. You're kind of getting a feel for this. I'm walking down the street, and I got people that are 20 feet away from me on the sidewalk with masks on. They're scared to death because they're believing everything they're hearing. They're watching the wrong stuff. I just want to shake them and go, come on. 24,000, I'm going to say conservative, died just from the flu. But that never used to be reported. I'm going to tell you, because they're scaring the shit out of everybody with these vaccines. They don't have their facts straight. Every week they're changing their story. I think that the message they're sending from the White House on down is horrible. They're flip-flopping every other week. And now they're threatening people. People are losing their jobs if they don't get vaccinated. So what is it? You don't, you're going to lose your job, and or you should get vaccinated with this experimental drug that, to me, in my opinion, it just hasn't been out long enough and tested long enough to see what's really going to happen in the long run. Forget about the 2 days or a week from now. Again, just my opinion. I'm not saying that it can't calm the flu down, but what other things is it going to possibly do to you, good or bad, in the future? Yes, there is more to this than we're being told. There really is, and I'm gonna talk about that too, because this bugs the hell out of me. Again, I'm trying to take it one step at a time for the people who aren't on board. There's a lot of people that believe in this vaccination. A lot of people, and they're pissed off at the people who aren't getting vaccinated, thinking that we're friggin' idiots. Like, we're going to kill people. Kill people. Let's talk about holy crap. You remember Texas has got some voting to do and stuff like that. And a few weeks ago, all the Democrats took off. They were trying to beat the system. They all went to Washington. The Texas Democrats from the Senate and congressional committees over there in Texas all left the state of Texas, and on one plane, they hired a private plane. And they were trying to beat the system, because if they weren't in town, they couldn't vote. So they all get on one plane. Now, the governor's all hip to this. And all of a sudden, somebody took a picture of all these people on this private plane, which, by the way, was $100,000 to rent to go from Texas to Washington. $100,000 of your money. Of your money. You may not feel it, but you're feeling it at the gas pumps. You're feeling it buying food. Who's bought food lately? Everything's just crazy going up. If you can find what you need. There's something going on here, folks. So these people, these Democrats, not only did they get on a private plane to all go to Washington together, they're partying it up. They're partying it up. And somebody took a picture on the plane. They go, come on, let's take a picture. Group selfies. And nobody's wearing a mask. Nobody's wearing a mask on the plane. Meanwhile, the people who are paying to buy airline seats, getting on planes, going from airport to airport, wearing them for 12 friggin' hours, snorting your own CO2, and paying money to sit on a plane, are having to wear masks. It's friggin' ridiculous. They're not practicing what they're preaching. They preach it, but behind the scenes, they know it's all bullshit. It's crap. They're trying to keep us down, and nobody sees this stuff. Well, there are people that see it. But how do you explain that to... I got friends I love very much, and they are so opposite of what I'm saying and thinking, and yet they can't back anything up, but all they can do is be pissed off and hate what I'm saying. And all I'm saying is, just listen. Give me a reason. Give me some reasoning as to why, I should listen to your side. Because I'm kind of telling you what I know from these things. They got on that plane. No masks. They got cases of beer on the plane. They're having a good old time going to Washington. So then they go to Washington. It ends up 6 of them that were on that plane end up with COVID, and they take it to Washington. Now, again, the word COVID makes it sound, I'm not going to be able to finish up the night. It's going to be crazy. the word COVID makes it sound, once again, like you're spreading cancer. There's some huge bad disease. It's a cold. It's a cold virus. Not everybody's going to get it. And the ones that do get it, the survivability rate now is pretty darn good. Super pretty darn good. But they're scaring the shit out of you, telling me that, once again, they're saying the hospitals are full and this and that. Go to one of your local hospitals. I drove by one of mine. It's business as usual. I don't know where they come up with these friggin' stories. In California here, they started up with the mask shit again. Having to wear mask mandates indoors. Except when you get seated, then you can take off your mask. It's like, what the hell's the sense of it? It makes no sense. Now, here's the thing. We as citizens, American citizens, paying taxes, trying to work for a living, feed our families, are going through, they're making us jump through all these hoops. Now they're forcing City of Pasadena, either you get vaccinated or you can't work there. Firefighters, first responders, healthcare workers, either you get vaccinated or you can't work here. We're not going to have nobody working because a lot of these people don't believe in the vaccine either. It needs more time. But yet, you can walk across the border. You don't get COVID checked. You have no checks, no nothing. On top of that, they're going to give you some money and they're going to put you in a hotel and then they're going to ship you into somebody's city and dump off, dozens and dozens and thousands of these people under the radar to roam free. Do you really think there's something that serious going on with COVID if they're just letting the border and all these people through? Do you seriously? I mean, think about it. Just friggin' think about it. And again, this isn't for the people that don't believe. I'm trying to reach some others nicely. I'm asking you to listen. Just think about it. Why would they take all these thousands of illegal immigrants crossing the border and not be concerned about checking them for COVID and just releasing them off into the wild of our United States? If we're in such a lockdown. Because the first thing, like, you might love him or hate him, but the first thing Trump did is he shut the borders because we didn't know what we were up against. But yet, they're just walking in. 188,000 came through in June, folks. 188,000. And that's all what the ones they could count. Got to be thousands and thousands more that, you can't. They're too all over the place. They're just flooding through day and night. Not scared. They're just doing it. Broad daylight now. It used to be nighttime operations. Now it's day and night. Doesn't matter. There's no COVID checks. So how serious is this disease or this, if they're not even that concerned about it down at the border? But yet you, the law-abiding citizens, are in fear of losing your jobs. Our gas prices are going, everything. It's all because of COVID. Something don't smell right. I remember the president saying months ago, if you get the vaccine, you no longer need to wear a mask. And he said, let me repeat, you no longer need to wear a mask. That was several months ago. And now you need to wear a mask. They don't know whether they're coming or going. This plot, this plan, is falling apart, and they're just grabbing straws. Fauci's getting grouchy. We talked about that last week. He's getting some hard questions asked to him. He doesn't know how to answer them because he's see, the problem about lying is when you lie too much, you can't remember what you said. And you're constantly having to cover your tracks, and then you start stepping all over yourself. And that's what's happening. I remember back years ago, George Bush, the first George Bush president, was his big presidential thing was read my lips, no new taxes. Well, that didn't last very long. So here's our president, current president now. Let me repeat, if you get the vaccination, you'll no longer have to wear a mask. Now, I don't believe in the vaccination that it's ready to be a vaccination yet, but At least they were saying if you get the vaccination, you'll no longer be susceptible and you'll no longer have to wear a mask. Well, now from what I can tell, and even on all the mainstream bullshit news stations, all the majors, MSNBC, CNN, if you watch these stations, you need to find another way, because they're all in deep pockets. They're all in cahoots. They're saying what needs to be said for whatever this plan is. And I can tell you, it's probably not a very good plan when it comes to the plan being for us. But now, vaccinated people, unvaccinated people, everybody needs to wear masks. And vaccinated people are still getting, they're trying to really put the blame on unvaccinated people, but it's not working. You can't let up, people. You can't let up. If you submit to this stuff just because it's like you're tired fighting it, we're all going to die. Not by our own hand. Eventually, one way or another. If you love your children, your family, your future, wake up. Something's up. Why would again, I'm going to reiterate, unless you weren't paying attention. If this COVID is spreading and everything, then why are they letting 188,000 people in the month of June and counting for July? They haven't given us the count for July yet because July just ended. Why are they all coming over and having COVID and nobody's checking them? They're not even checking them. Where's the concern? If we were that concerned, wouldn't there be major concern because we're letting more disease in? Tell me I'm not making sense. Tell me I'm not making sense. Just answer me that. Just that one question for you non-believers. Because I saw somebody, they put a post, it's like, God, our economy is doing better than it ever has now. It's like, what friggin' planet you on? And and he's going, employment is going up. Everything's getting back on track. It's like, employment is going up because everybody had to stop working because of this stupid virus. Employment's not going up. They're just finally getting some people back to work. We're not thriving. If you like paying $5 a friggin' gallon for gas, you call that thriving? The only people thriving are the ones making the profits on that gas. It's not me. Sorry, guys, but I just hope if I can change one person's mind that doesn't agree, that didn't normally agree with this whole theory, I'll feel better, because I'm concerned, really concerned for my child, for your children. They're going to have to face the blunt of this. They're wanting children to get vaccinated. Now all the schools, the unions, the school unions, they're getting so much money from this, and they're not even having to start school. They want the kids to stay masked all day long in the heat, breathing their own CO2. It's like, what the hell's the matter with them? We've already known that children hardly get this. It's 0.000.12 or something like that of a child getting infected. And here's another thing. Again, I can go on and on and on. I'm going to join that group. On and on and on. So they're complaining on the news. 818-259-7983. All y'all, I appreciate you texting and doing all the comments, but I had hopes that somebody would have called, but that's okay because I'll just keep on going. I'm getting steamed up, but I'm not going to stay on all night. I'll spare you, but I'm just hoping I reach somebody to understand this for your own good, for your family. I understand these people going, you friggin' idiots, just go get vaccinated so you don't kill people. We're not killing people. Again, the people who, it's not the drug, it's not the flu that's, the source. The flu wasn't the cure. It's the vaccine is really what the whole thing's about. It's like, hey, let's have this, and then we'll have a vaccine that everybody can take. And we can start learning new things with nanotechnology and start altering people's DNAs. I truly believe in that. That, like I said, that vaccine is not ready. It was emergency authorized. It's like, okay, we'll use it, but let's see what happens down the road. Already, there's so many cases of people and all kinds of things. For never mind the blood clots. Again, I know there's certain things that happen. Okay, there's going to be reactions to everything, but there's too many, and and again, nobody gets to find out about what's being reported, and we're too early on. I truly believe it's going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when we're going to start seeing people dropping off the face of this earth, and it's going to be from some other thing. It's not going to be related because they're going to come up with something. Something's going to change in their bodies. It's not going to be. It's specifically. I truly believe it's specifically made to change things in your body, and you're going to get sick from something else down the road. Let's just start, thinning the herd on this planet, and I'm going to prove that to you in a second too. But shit, just forgot what I was going to say. I just feel there's too much risk in that vaccine. I still don't believe. I just think that I'm not saying that they weren't trying. They've been working on these kind of vaccines. COVID, that word COVID's been around for years. The problem I'm having with this whole thing is the news is reporting. Look at that. People are, thank you, Change Heal. The people are sending a fax. All you got to do is, but most people don't take the time to it. They just listen to what they listen to and they go, well, okay, I'll believe it. Just pisses me off because I know they're not bad people. They're just so confused. They're just sheep mentality. And I was kind of easygoing too for many years. Going, I couldn't imagine a government or a world. Why would they want to do something evil? But there's a lot of people that are only in things for the money. And we mean nothing to them. So here's my point. The news is constantly reporting how many COVID cases. But there's hardly any people dying right now from it, considering from the number. It's basically like you going to the doctor, because now the minute everybody gets sick, they're going to the doctor and they're going, well, you got COVID. What they really mean is if you hit the translation button is you have a cold. It's a cold. It's a different type of cold, but it's a cold. Achoo. Feel crappy. Has some different symptoms, but it's another form of a cold. So they're reporting everybody who has a cold. They never used to report everybody who had a cold. So it's scaring the shit out of everybody. Because they're reporting, but the word COVID makes it sound like, somebody's carrying a deadly transmitted disease. And then, again, is it deadly? Yes, it can be. But so can a cold and the flu. I just talked about that. I was being conservative, saying about 24,000 people die, and it's not even reported because it's the norm. But I never knew that. I didn't know anybody who died from the flu because it's 24,000 out of millions of people in the United States. I get it. But that's what's happening right now. But the news, that's all they thrive on. They thrive on disaster. And if they don't have disaster to report, they got no news. One last thing when it comes to the vaccine and the virus. I mean, I can keep on going, but I'm going to start to wrap this conversation up. But I want you to keep your minds open, people, please, for your own good, not for mine, because I know where I'm going with this. But it's affecting everybody. You can't let them take away your jobs. They're forcing you. Again, if it was so good, since when do they force you to do something? Forcing you. Because they're trying to save humanity? Nah. There's natural herd immunity and all that stuff. That's really what's going on. But so people are starting to fare through all this. But there's something about that vaccine. They want you to have that vaccine for some reason. And it ain't to save your life from COVID. I promise you that. Anybody who remember, I don't know, most of my crowd is older. Anybody remember the name Henry Kissinger? Henry Kissinger. He's 98 years old now. But when I was growing up, I remember my father followed politics and all that. And Henry Kissinger was a big guy when it came to government. He's written 19 books, so I got to read this. In 1973, he was Secretary of State through 73 to 77. He was up there, sitting right next to the president. 1984. I mean, there was such a long list. I only picked a few out of this. But 1984 through 1990, he was Presidential National Intelligence Advisory Board. I mean, he knows everything about everything. He knew everything about everything. Like, he had as much clearance as anybody can have about the world, about our country, about the dirty tricks department, the CIA, the Army, the Navy, the CDC, everything, the FBI. He knew everything. He was that high up there. I'm going to read something to you. This is dated, and you can look this up. You can look this up. This is dated February 25th, 2009. February 25th, 2009. He gave a speech. It says, Henry Kissinger in a speech to the World Health Organization Council on Eugenics. Anybody know what eugenics is? It's what Bill Gates belongs to and all those assholes. Soros. They believe in thinning the herd, population control. Too many people on this planet. You don't hear about this stuff. They don't proudly advertise it, but that's what eugenics is. It's all about population control. By the way, Bill Gates had a lot to do with this, vaccine that was created too. I'm not going to tell you to put two and two together, but put two and two together. Anyway, Henry Kissinger on forced vaccination. This is in 2009, folks. 12 years ago. 12 years ago, yeah, 12 years ago. Don't think that they didn't know what they were doing back then. Here it is. February 25th, 2009. Henry Kissinger giving a speech to the World Health Organization Council on Eugenics. February 2009. I got to keep saying that because I want you to pay attention to this. This is in print. Once the herd accepts mandatory forcible vaccination, it's game over. They will accept anything. Forcible blood or organ donation for the greater good. We genetically modify children and sterilize them for the greater good. Control sheep minds and you control the herd. Vaccine makers stand to make billions, and many of you in this room today are investors. It's a big win-win. We thin out the herd, and the herd pays us for providing extermination services. Now, what's for lunch? Did you just hear what I read? If not, go back to the show and rewind it. Now, I'm going to read it again. Just to make sure, because it took me a couple of times. Henry Kissinger, in 2009, gave a speech to the World Health Organization on eugenics. He belonged to all this crap, too, which scares the shit out of me. Why these people think like this? What does it, don't they have enough? What is the greater good? Their version of the greater good sucks. But here we are. Henry Kissinger, who's still alive and 98 years old, said in 2009, February 25th, once the herd accepts mandatory forcible vaccinations, it's game over. They will accept anything. Forcible blood or organ donation for the greater good. We can genetically modify children and sterilize them for the greater good. Control sheep minds and you control the herd. Sheeps, that's you guys, us. Vaccine makers stand to make billions, and many of you here in this room today are investors. It's a big win-win. We thin out the herd, and the herd pays us for providing extermination services. Now, what's for lunch? It says it. Came out of his mouth. He talked about that like, you guys are going to make $1 gazillion because we're going to control the population. We're going to get it to where... You remember the movie like Logan's Run? Years ago when I was a kid, this movie Logan's Run, when you were 21, you had to be exterminated because there was too many people on this world. I find that a lot of movies from the past, like Star Trek, have become real. It's just that simple. It's that simple. There's no screwing around in all that. It really is happening, folks, and it's happening right before your eyes. This was 2009. So you tell me, I don't mean to make you cry, Michelle. It's the truth, though. And the thing is, people need to speak up because we could beat this if you just don't bend over and lay down. That's the key. They can't beat us if we just don't let them. Most people are just buying into the whole thing. I say this out of love. I really do. I like life. We have children. I don't get it. I don't understand this. I don't. And that was why I was in denial. I was in denial for years. I'm going, who could be this awful? A lot of people. A lot of people. Doesn't confront them because it's not going to happen to them. They're doing the killing. You're welcome. This is real stuff. I hope you'll listen and pay attention. Don't forget, free Britney. I've got so many things I want to talk about. This chaos in our United States, I'm running over time again. I thought I could finish out on my own. Just real quick, the chaos in the United States, they're reaming all these people that, yes, they shouldn't have gone into the Capitol, okay? But majority of them, the people that were there peacefully that did go and get into the whole mess, they weren't doing anything. I mean, they shouldn't have done it, but they weren't out there to burn the place down and take no prisoners and kill people and this and that. There were some people, I truly believe in that whole mob that were there to make the trouble, to make the good people look bad. So they're running them up the railroad. In courts, they're sending them to jail for really long terms for doing that insurrection or whatever. And they're holding a council now that is so friggin' crooked. Stevie Wonder can see the corruption going on with this. They're looking at free Britney. There's no justice. There's no justice. But yet, last year alone, we had 574 declared riots last summer all over the country, burning down courthouses, police stations, stores, private property, and all those people went free and clear. But yet, they're trying to make an example of the few people at the Capitol on January 6th. There's something wrong with this whole thing. All I'm asking you is to open up your eyes. There's something wrong with all this. BLM. Listen, I think most people that are behind BLM don't know a damn thing about what BLM actually represents. Sure, the phrase Black Lives Matter, of course, it sounds good. So people just go, I could get behind that because Black lives do matter. I can get into the whole thing that all lives matter. But the bottom line is, if you really look at that of what BLM is all about, it's not some goody-good organization. It really isn't. They're a hater group. They hate. I can get into that too. But I'm not going to now. I'm just going to touch on this because we got to go. All I'm asking you is if you disagree with me, sure, then speak your piece. But I don't see anybody disagreeing. I hope you'll spread the word to help wake up people. We don't need BLM. They haven't done anything to help anybody. They're lining their own pockets. Promise you that. And I get it. All these young kids are jumping on the BLM bandwagon because it sounds like a really good cause. But it's not. It's not. They're nothing that they appear to be. It really isn't. Everybody's being just friggin' snow blinded. It's bullshit. Please, people, open your eyes or help other people in a nice way. People you love that just thinking differently because they just haven't done enough. They just kind of went with the flow. And again, I too was like that, but it's not. There's things going on and we need to get together. We really do. I told you I wanted to talk about Cuba, China. Real quick, China's got the largest navy in the world. They're building a ton of stuff. Aircraft carriers. I mean, they're starting to we're going to look dwarfed. And if you don't think that they got their eyes on us, I hope we never see that. World wars and all that stuff has been gone, long gone. China's getting strong, and they know we're getting weak. They got enough stuff to stomp us if we let them. They own half of America as it is. Wake up, people. And Cuba, lastly, Cuba wants freedom. You think for 1 second, you see if you're lucky enough to see some of the posts that are going on of people in Cuba waving the American flag, freedom. Freedom. If we're that shitty of a country, there's a lot of haters in this country. I don't understand why. It blows my mind. People have died to come to this country. And they're dying still. Cuba, they have cut off internet. There's no feeds over there. They can't contact their families. There's people that are dying over there. People that are missing because they're going against the government. In Cuba, in the late 1950s, the late 1950s, the way they got communism in Cuba, the communist government just went over there and just started killing people. People, they just took their farms, killed them. Now it's ours. They own everything. Nobody owns anything in Cuba. People are tired of it. They're driving 1955 cars that they have to make parts themselves because they can't get anything. Only what the government gives them. A rationing of food, a rationing of milk, this and that. Life sucks. They're just people. They want their freedom, and they're dying for it right now again. And this country is not even lifting a finger, and they're not talking about it. Got to bring attention to that, too, because that could be your family that's over there. We have the ability in the United States to at least get them internet to where they can start communicating. They have the power to do that, and they're not lifting a finger. They're starting to put the pressure on the current administration right now, so they're not going to have a choice. That's what I'm saying. If you get loud, they're not going to have a choice on everything. I'm worn out. I love you guys. I really do. I really do. That's why I'm saying this stuff. I'm not saying it to piss people off. I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying it because I care. And I'm not even that good at this. I'm adequate. I'd rather talk about fun stuff. But, when everybody's happy, it's like, nobody wants to pay attention. I find, I started this show about, relationships, surviving divorce and single parenting and getting through it. Loss of your parents. I mean, the hard stuff. Stuff that really hurts. It's love. Hits you in the heart. I talk about that, dearly. I wear it on my sleeve. But I don't do it for any other reason than I want it to resonate to where we can all rise above it and start moving forward. I found that people in relationships, when everybody's happy, like they really don't watch this show a whole lot. They're too busy being happy. But when all of a sudden, because they know that they can relate to what I'm saying, and then all of a sudden they're like their life empties out, and they need some place to grab onto, and they come over to this show, and that's fine because that's what I'm here for. I'm hoping you'll stick around, anyway through the good and the bad. Pass it on to your friends. That's all I ask. Share the shows. Let's grow. I want to take this sucker to the top. I got something to say. You all have something to say, and it needs to be heard. But I only do this for the better of us. I'm not looking for any shock value entertainment. As much as I love Jerry Springer, I couldn't do Jerry Springer. I do admire him, though, because, he just stands around and the show kind of just goes for itself. Sure, it's a little bit trashy, but it sure is entertaining. But I don't want to do that. I want some worth out of this whole deal. I want somebody to get something out of this and go, you know what? Thank you. And I don't need a pat on the back either. The good I get out of it is knowing that something good came out of it for you. It's time to go. I want to see you all here next week. Next week, I have Phil Brown, musician, songwriter, guitarist, singer. He got burned on a lot of songs that were hits in the past, and we're going to talk about it and why he never got paid on these songs. And I want to talk about that stuff because that's life. People get burned all over the place, and Music business isn't any different, but I'm really curious. I have some questions for him, and he came to me, and I've worked with him briefly in the past, in the early 2000s, and I want to talk to him again and find out, because it blows my mind. I understand it, but I don't. So I want to break it up a little bit. I just needed to take tonight's show by myself to get some things off my chest, because I've been accumulating all this stuff, and CB antennas only go so many miles, though. Michelle, she's saying, people with CB antennas and Cuba and stuff like that. CB antennas are great, but they don't reach but so far. Breaker 19. How about that, rubber duck? Next week, Phil Brown. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for watching. Next week, I want to thank Bolt Energy. Bolt Energy, electrify your senses. Remember, I could not be here if it wasn't for Bolt Energy. They know what I do, and they still support me, and I love them to death. They've hung in there since the beginning with me, almost the beginning of the live shows. That's when we finally pulled it together all together. But go out and find Bolt Energy. No preservatives. They're growing. Can't find Bolt Energy. Go to LLC Bolt Energy, Instagram, LLC Facebook, Bolt Energy, LLC YouTube. They're around. Google it. If you can't find it and you really want, just talk to them. Get a hold of them. I'm getting ready to have a meeting with them too. Lots of changes. I want to thank everybody for watching week after week. If you can't watch the live shows, please go watch the shows on demand, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to build that, because I'm leaving other things and going on to other things, which, by the way, I told you that there was another platform I am slowly dipping my toe into. If you're tired of being censored, if you're tired of being cut off, and you want a little freedom, I've just gone on and I'm adding it to my collection of platforms that I'm going to be vocal on. It's called TLB Talk. I'm just throwing this in. I forgot all about it. We're going to do a show on this on August 22nd. But they just started. It's Facebook without the censorship. TLB Talk. Same thing. They got a phone app. Go to your Google. I put an ad out, I think, this past week. But you're going to be seeing more of it. I am starting to post my shows on that too. They own the servers. Nobody's going to shut them down. We'll talk more about that as the weeks progress. We'll be getting closer to it. Just my last thing. Life's a bitch. And I want everybody to fare well. But, I know everybody's getting pushed to the limits. Things are hard. But at the end of the day, we're all just people. I lose it myself. I have this tendency to carry things a lot harder than I should at times. We're all just people. So try to be kind. As I always say, don't take any shit from anybody. Certain limit. Again, I'm guilty of sometimes letting things go a little too far. But either way, you don't have to be an asshole. Just be kind. Everybody's got a story, and everybody's got their own versions of hell. I love you guys very much. I do. I wish nothing but the best for you. I want to see you here next week and every week. And again, if you missed the shows, just go to the YouTube channel and go, they're right there in numerical order, and just pull up the show and watch it on your own spare time. I'm trying to get back into getting all these shows on podcast again. I'm 3 years behind from when we stopped doing the podcast stuff, but again, I need people. Who are these people? There's not enough of us to go around right now, and there's many ways to go. But I want to see you here, all right? Every week. Love you guys. So, see you next week. As always, love you guys. Peace out.
Peter G. Show. Peter G. Show. Divorce Dad.